Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Swan TV. I'm James Groves, Managing Director of Indigo Swan. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Stokely Howard of Trendy Grandad. Stokely, how you doing?
Good, thank you, mate. Thanks for inviting me on.
No worries, mate. No worries. Obviously, known about you guys for a long time. You know each other a little bit, which is great. But talk to me. I suppose a good place to start is Trendy Grandad,
Yeah.
and telling us a little bit about yourself. So tell us a little bit about you. You know what you do at Trendy Grandad, where the name came from, because obviously it's quite unique.
Slightly peculiar, right?
But yeah, just an overview on yourself and Trendy Grandad would be awesome to kick us off.
Sure, mate, sure. Yeah, it's a slightly peculiar name, and you know, it is done intentionally, although it might just sound like it's been plucked out of thin air. We named ourselves after my granddad personally. He's like such a fashionable guy, you know, walking down the street wearing like the latest clothes, the latest trends, and I was like, this is a cool guy. And when we decided, okay, cool, we're a creative agency, you know, we did a bit of marketing, you know, we want to stand out. We needed something which you know is a bit of an icebreaker, creates a conversation, right? A bit like this. And every time you say to people what your business name is, they go, what? And then it just creates conversation and sticks in people's heads and people remember it. So I was like, right, we've got to have a name like that. And you know, as soon as sort of Trendy Grandad came along, it was absolutely perfect. Along with what we do as a company, I mean, we specialize in working with corporate businesses who want to be cool. So, you know, we make granddads trendy, right? All ties
and they sometimes struggle to be cool, I suppose.
yeah, sometimes they do, yeah. Yeah, so it all ties in, and you know, that's the origin of the name. It's not that great of a story, but it'll do for now.
But how did you get yourself into like what you do? What was your background?
So my background started off basically being at sixth form and hating the sort of the education system, and decided, right, I'm going to go and get a job. So I managed to talk my way into getting a runner's job in Manchester for ITV,
nice.
on the Jeremy Kyle show. It was my first ever television job.
I love it, mate. All the drama.
Yeah, all the drama every day for about 2 years. It was brilliant. And then worked my way up in ITV across many different sort of programs and across the entertainment sector to be a TV producer. After about 3, maybe 4 years, I left to do that freelance and traveled around the UK and traveled around the world, producing television shows and commercials as well for brands. And, you know, that's when I sort of got a love for creating ideas and stories and telling stories and whatnot. And then what I decided, changed my mind a lot, that I didn't really particularly like working for people. And I had all these ideas and I wanted to pick up a camera and film and all this sorts of stuff. And you know, and I just wasn't getting the opportunities to do that at the time. So, you know, the TV world is great, you know, it's absolutely great. But if you want to pick up a camera in the TV world, you've got to go down a certain route. You've got to work as a camera assistant for 20 years, etc. So I was like, right, I'm going to buy a camera myself and I'm going to start filming nightclub videos for beer. And that's what I did. Nice, yeah. Like, you know, just started filming, and just in return for getting drunk, it was great. And off the back of that, you know, my friends asked me to do a couple more videos, and it just led on from that.
Amazing, mate. What a great success story. What a great success story. So if somebody comes to Trendy Grandad, you know, just a business comes to you and says, right, okay, baby, what can you do for me? What is, you know, I know you've recently launched some new packages and some new products and stuff like that, but what does a typical package look like to any business out there that might be thinking, you know, I might give these guys a call. What is it you offer if you were to go with your niche, so to speak?
So we have like 2 products. We have our core service, which is, you know, a corporate brand or corporate business coming to us and saying, we want to create this video, but we don't just want to create a boring video. You know, we want it to have a little bit of edge, or we want it to be engaging. For example, you know, I do talks and training events on how to create engaging content. So, you know, we always think about the plus. You know, where's this video going? Is it wrapped up in a marketing campaign? How can we get the best out of it that we possibly can? So that's our core service, you know, helping corporate businesses tell their stories. And then our secondary service is our content creation retainer. So we work with quite a few businesses on a retained basis. And what we're doing there is we're helping them monthly create good, you know, quality content, and, you know, keeps them consistent as a brand. You know, for example, we work with recruitment companies, beer brands, all sorts of brands with that. and help them, output lots of good content and lots of good video content consistently. A lot of these brands do struggle to be video first. So, that's what that retainer does really help.
Nice.
Yeah, that's us.
I love it, man. I love it. Just an outsourced video marketing, everything for anybody that struggles to it. I love it.
Something awesome. Like that.
Absolutely. And another thing you've had an amazing success with recently in Norfolk is Gen E. Yeah. So a networking event aimed at young entrepreneurs. Both your events have sold out very quickly, which is awesome. So the latest one sold out within 24 hours, which is amazing. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Gen E and tell us a little bit about the idea behind it and what people can expect if they're lucky enough to get a ticket for the latest event, but also if they haven't, why they should get one for the next one?
Sure. I mean, this event is just, it is blown up, to be honest with you. I never really expected it to do that. I knew there was sort of a need for young professionals and entrepreneurs to come together in Norfolk, but I didn't actually realize it was that big. And what it is, the reason why I went to the Chamber of Commerce and said, look, we need to do an event like this. It's because when I came to Norwich, I'm from Norwich, but when I came back to Norwich from Manchester, I was going to networking events, and they all have their place, networking events, but the ones I was going to weren't directly for me as an individual, as a young sort of entrepreneur or professional in the Norfolk business space. And I thought, there's a gap here. And so went to the Chamber of Commerce and said, let's create an event for sort of under 35s, under 40s. And let's just create that space just for those types of people to engage with each other, connect with each other, and inspire each other. Our aim isn't to necessarily annoy the older business community. That's not what it's intended to do at all. Although a lot of older people have said they're quite jealous that they're not there. But
well, you never know. Maybe it'll branch out.
Maybe, yeah. I'll do one for over 40s next.
yeah, absolutely.
Our aim isn't that at all. Our aim is to connect and help and inspire the younger business community and create a space for them. Younger people, can really help, other younger people because they resonate with the same issues, and that's what it's about. 18th of November, which is our second one, is at Barn Beyond in Norwich, and we did a ticket release because we were getting a lot of interest beforehand, and a lot of people were doing it, and we only have 75 people as a capacity for the event. And they sold out in 24 hours, which is just crazy. And that's just off the back of myself and the Chamber of Commerce, Rose at the Chamber of Commerce, like our marketing. And that's just off the back of that. So, my goal, I'd love to do like a 500 person event. Like that's my long-term goal, like a sort of like a mini talking festival. I think that would be absolutely amazing. Maybe like a type like TEDx type thing or something. Absolutely. I don't know. But it's cool.
If anyone is watching and would like to get in contact, to help us facilitate such an event, that would be amazing. It's an interesting point you make about the over 40s as well. I suppose for me it's a case of we want to embrace those people because we want those people to help the under 40s, don't we? And
they've got way more experience, they're wise at everything else, so there's definitely a need.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. So talk to me. What's influenced you and inspired you in business? What have you been? Who is anyone particular that inspired you to do what you do? Have you been influenced by anything since you got started? Talk to me a little bit about that.
I think for me, like it changes quite frequently who I'm sort of inspired by. I'm a massive believer in educating myself constantly, and I'm constantly listening to books throughout the day. When I'm working and trying to, be the best person I can be. But, I think first and foremost, it's my granddad. And, he inspires me on a personal level. On a business level, not at all. I couldn't fry an egg, that bloke. So he could never run a business. And it's just been different mentors along the way and people that have come into my lives and, generally sort of genuinely try to help. I'm a massive believer in, bringing people along with you and trying to help as many people as possible. And that's like one of the reasons why I started, Generation E, is to help younger businesses connect and create a space. And, and I'm mentoring a few other younger businesses as well at the moment, which is cool. I'm inspired by lots of different people. It's hard to pinpoint one person in particular.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. So you say you're listening to a lot of books and stuff like that. Do you have any motivational podcasts, things like that, that you have that are your go-tos that you give a shout out to?
Yeah. So I do listen to podcasts, but they're sort of comedy podcasts. I don't necessarily listen to motivational speakers either, but I do obviously, like I said, listen to books. And the one of my favorite authors at the moment is a guy called Daniel Priestley. He wrote Key Person of Influence, Oversubscribed. He's wrote 4 books, I think. And these books are incredible. I base our business model around these books. And our marketing around these books as well. And if anyone who is looking to become a key person of influence in their sector or their surroundings, I would 100% recommend listening or reading.
Absolutely. And is there anything in particular that you can go back to that you've read once upon a time? I know you say you've sort of based your business model around reading a lot of this stuff. Is there any one thing that you've read and you've gone, right, okay, that's a game changer for me, whether it be business, personally, whatever? Is there anything that jumped out?
Yeah, there's one thing, and it is from Daniel Priestley again. I sound like his biggest fan, right?
That's right.
He says in his books a lot, it's a theme across all his books. He says, appreciate your mountain of value. So appreciate the mountain of value that you're standing on already. And what that basically means is business is built up through time and consistency. That's 50% of it. It's just being there, being consistent, turning up, and being remarkable at what you do. And creating good business relationships, but just doing it over and over again. And this is why so many businesses fail, is because they don't have consistency. They're too impatient. So appreciating your mountain of value basically means appreciate what you have built already and grow that. Don't get distracted by all these little side hustles and these cryptos and all this jazz. Just keep working and walk at your solid business that you've got, that is built, that is, pays your rent and it pays your food. And eventually that will bring you way more money than, the other side of the grass. It's another sort of, the grass is greener type quote. Just stick to your own lane and appreciate what you've built already.
Become a master in what you're good at and what you know.
Yeah, exactly. And you can always learn, you can always grow and develop that. Don't look at the short-term goals, look at the longevity in your business and do everything for length rather than short-term money. It's just like the power of no, right? If you might get a project in and it looks like quick money, but if it's not the right project for you, say no, because ultimately that project will waste so much more time than it would do just by earning a couple of grand out of it or whatever it is. Say no.
I know. I've had to master that.
It's hard, right?
People used to joke I used to be the opening of an envelope, so I've now had to learn what to say yes and what to say no to, mate. Otherwise, I'm just about everywhere. People get sick of it. But you've answered it to a certain extent, I suppose. But is there any other advice you'd give to anybody looking to start their own business? Would you give any particular advice to anybody that's out there now thinking, I want to start my own business, not sure where to start? What would your advice be to them?
I think there's 2 things. The first is stop talking about it and just do it. Like so many talkers in this world, and they bug me. Like there's this lad that I'm mentoring, and every time we have a meeting, and if he hasn't actioned something by the next meeting, I'm like, well, you're just a talker then, aren't you? It just winds him up. So I'm like, if you're going to do something, do it. Yeah, you can chat to me about all these things you want to do, just do it. And then another thing is I'd say for someone who's willing to start a business, is find a mentor in that sector. The reason being is it's like buying a fast track at Alton Towers. That's the only way I can explain it. If you buy a fast track at Alton Towers, you get in the queue and you get in the ride in 10 minutes, and you don't have to wait an hour and a half. Like a mentor is like that. They've been through it. They've got the experience. They can fast track your questions and everything. If you've got a problem, they can fast track that for you. So I'd find someone strong. And then I've actually got one more.
Go! I'm loving it.
And then the last one is build friendships in business. Just build genuine relationships with people, build friendships, go for beer, but don't, you can go for beer with someone, but don't talk about business for an hour and a half if you don't need to. Right. Just build friendships. And that's where like so much business comes from is building friendships and good relationships within business. And
I think in Norfolk, we're so good at that.
Yeah.
I think there's always room for improvement, as there always is. But I think in Norfolk, we are very good for that, which is a big positive.
It's a very helpful community.
Thankfully, it is, yes. Because if there's someone in Norfolk that does something, you always go to the person in Norfolk first.
Yeah, so true.
You can't necessarily say that everywhere else, can you? So I think that's a positive and a great point. Sophie, I also asked you to bring along one item that has meant a lot to you during 2020, 2021, through the lockdowns, everything that we've been through. What did you bring, and why did you bring it?
Well, in very typical Stokely fashion, I brought two.
I love it.
So I hope you don't mind.
We'll make this episode as long as we can.
No. So I got a book for Christmas, and it basically just says on the front of it, "Moments of Genius."
Nice.
And I really like this book because I just write just little all the time. I just write little things in it that just pop into my head. I don't have to do anything with it, but it's just a good sort of splurge. If you just write an idea, just get it done, get it out of the way, and then come back to it later if I need to. So yeah, I know it says moments of genius. There might not all be genius in this book, but they're just little thoughts.
But they're in there.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, but that might be unfair. How far through that book are you?
Well, this is it. In typical Stokely fashion, I'm not anyway through the book because I just open a page and write in it. There's no order.
Just
anyway,
randomly throughout the whole book.
Yeah, it's just completely random. And there's like blank pages in the middle of it and, full pages at the end. So,
that's a great idea, though.
That's
a great idea. I love it. And the second one?
And the second one is this picture. All right. Can you see this picture?
This
picture is Queen. Oh my God, I think I've got this wrong. Elizabeth. Yeah.
Elizabeth. That's the one.
She's younger.
The Queen.
So much academic I actually am. I'd be terrible in quiz. But she's got loads of tattoos on her. And the way I like it, I think it's just like so rogue. And it's just like going against the system, which is the educational system, which I went as a kid. I was pushed towards university and I shouldn't have, I didn't go there in the end, but I felt like I wasn't pushed in the right direction. And then, I just think she looks cool. And that's in my office as well. So
I love it, mate.
Two things.
Just closing up really on the education piece. I'm very much on your side with that. I went to university for a year.
Right.
After, I think probably 90% of our workforce didn't go to university at Indigo Swan. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of places, a lot of opportunity, a lot of places out there for people that didn't. But obviously they're still pushing it quite heavily and quite a lot.
Yeah.
What's your view on it? What do you think we can do? What do you think maybe as a business community we can do more of to, without going against the school system, because otherwise we'll never attract anybody, but to a certain extent, what can we do as a business community to help the young people, before they get into it, see that there is more to life than maybe following on education?
Yeah, I feel like for us, like the most we can do is educate. And the thing that frustrates me so much is that, like for me, for example, I'm very hands-on, very much like doing things with my hands and my brain and like thinking and whatnot. And although I got relatively good grades at school, I'd always be learning things through drawing or whatever it might be. Never actually just reading and consuming. Like I don't even read books now because they just don't go in. I have to listen to them. But I think it's very much about identifying those sorts of kids early and presenting to them that getting a job or getting an apprenticeship is a valid option.
Absolutely.
And even starting a business is a valid option if you wanted to. It's harder without any industry experience, but it's definitely achievable. And just going to get experience and starting a business, like that's such a valid option. I remember when I was at ITV and I was 19 years old and people were coming out of uni and working underneath me and me teaching them how to do a job, and I thought it was absolutely bananas. Just didn't understand. And it happens day in, day out. And like so many people I know get way much more experience in a year than they do going to university for 4. So I think our role is to be the educators and just present to them that there's another side to the coin.
I agree. Well, what an amazing, powerful note to finish on. Stokely, thank you ever so much for joining me, buddy. As always,
I appreciate
amazing value you brought. I look forward to catching up with you soon, seeing you the next week.
Yeah.
But I hope the event is successful or has been successful, depending on when this when this comes out. But really appreciate you joining me, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your time, and thanks for having me.